The Charters Towers goldfield produced over 200 tonnes, that's 6.6 million ounces of gold from 1871 to 1917. The gold is concentrated into veins and was at one stage Australia's largest gold producing field with an average grade of 34 grams per tonne. During this period, the population was approximately 27,000, making Charters Towers Queensland's largest city outside of Brisbane. The city was also affectionately known as the World, as it was said that anything one might desire could be had in the towers, leaving no reason to travel elsewhere.
Well, Charters Towers took some years to get off the ground, and the true proof was probably around about 1878 when a group of principally German miners persisted with their digging on Daydorn Ridge, which is just at the back of the city here. And with their perseverance, they actually found that the Daydorn Reef was of some value, and it turned a fabulous fortune. And the proof was that the further you dug, the richer the reefs of gold were. So that was a spur for further digging, and it proved to be that in the next couple of years, in the next 7 or 8 years, the fruit and the digging proved itself, and thousands of ounces of gold were extracted out of these deeper mines. And it wasn't until 1886 that they realised that with more digging they needed more capital. So they took it upon themselves to exhibit their gold at the Colonial Exhibition in London in that particular year. And they actually erected a temporary and portable stamper and crushed ore within that exhibition in London. And that drew a lot of response from British investors. So that, by example, 2 of the mines that were sold to the British at that time, the Daydorn PC was sold for £410,000, which is no small amount to be sneezed at, and a nearby mine, the Daydorn Block in Wyndham, was sold for a similar amount. Now, this was money that probably went into the pockets of the direct owners. So what needed to happen after that was you needed to spread the wealth around. So the various share brokers around the town and the people who ran mining exchanges realised, well, if you can get other people investing in these companies to bring about the capital, then you're going to be sharing that wealth. So they came up with the idea of a mining exchange, and after about 3 or 4 years they ultimately headed in the direction of this new arcade, which is called the Royal Arcade, and today we call it the Stock Exchange Arcade. And it was erected in about 1888, 1889 by a man called Alexander Malcolm, and it's a truly stunning building to look at from the street, and more importantly to walk into. It was wide enough and long enough and deep enough to attract a crowd of people if the need should ever arise. And in the early 1890s they were finding that there was an absolute boom in share prices, and the best place to accommodate this was in this particular Royal Arcade. And they say that on a Saturday night, when they had the evening call, when the public were invited to come down and buy and sell their shares in various mining companies in the town, there would have been at least 1,000 people inside the arcade, and the brim of people outside on the streets, and the playing of the marching bands and just the hub of the crowd truly meant that Charters Towers had come a long way since the first discovery of gold in 1872.
To really appreciate how gold was made and money traded in Charters Towers, you should take a walk around Venus Gold Battery with Jeff Phillips.
Well, see, one of the problems with coming to this mill is what you call a customer mill. They abbreviated that to call it custom. What that means is that each person that comes here can have his rock crushed separately to somebody else's. So if you've only got one small load, we only need to use one stamping machine. If you're a big miner, we'll say the Band of Hope mine near the railway station, they book in 1,000 tonne for the month. So the mill manager arranges them to use 3 stampers at the one time, and away we go, and so it produces the gold. The beauty of being here, I suppose, is the fact that it's so vibrant with it, that at the same time that this is going from a very small mill to its peak is the same time as the city is. And you've got the stock exchange linked with it. So when you get extremely rich poor here, in theory, the shares rise in the stock exchange.
Our next stop on this pod guide is the old mining town of Dalrymple. It's about 40 kilometres north of town along the Gregory Developmental Road. If you have some time, the journey west from Charters Towers will take you along the Flinders Highway to the township of Pentland, gateway to White Mountains National Park. White Mountain's amazing white sandstone bluffs and complex gorge system make it one of the most scenic parks in inland Queensland.